They say I was mad. They whispered that I stared at the sun until I went blind, that I shoved needles behind my eyeballs, that I locked myself away for months on end, emerging only when I'd torn apart the very fabric of reality itself. They were right about all of it. But what they didn't understand was that madness and genius aren't opposites. They're lovers, dancing on the edge of a knife, and I spent my entire life in that terrible, beautiful embrace. I was 23 when I ran from death itself. The plague was devouring London, and I, an insignificant scholarship student, fled Cambridge, thinking I'd abandoned greatness. But hiding in my mother's orchard, I would unlock secrets that had eluded humanity since the dawn of consciousness. Changing the world doesn't start with triumph. It starts with abandonment, pain, and loneliness so deep that only mathematics will stay by your side. I was born on Christmas Day, 1642. So small, my mother said I could fit inside a quart mug. My father was dead before I took my first breath. When death itself rejects you as an infant, you spend the rest of your life daring it to try again. When I was 3, my mother remarried a man who wanted nothing to do with me. She left me behind. I remember watching the road, waiting for her to return. She never did. By 7, I understood she wasn't coming back, and something inside me broke, replaced by something harder, colder, sharper. You want to know what forges a mind like mine? Loneliness. When people leave you, numbers never do. While others played, I built sundials, windmills, and sketches of machines. I wasn't trying to be clever. I was trying to make sense of a cruel world. People abandon you, but mathematics never will. When my stepfather died, my mother came back and wanted me to be a farmer. But I was hopeless. I left sheep wandering while I measured shadows and drew geometric shapes in notebooks. They thought I was mad. Maybe I was, but touched by obsession, not insanity. My uncle saw potential and sent me to Cambridge. I thought I was escaping loneliness, but I was wrong. As a poor sub-Zi, I cleaned rooms, emptied chamber pots, and ate alone. But solitude became my power. While others learned manners, I learned to question the universe. Descartes taught me that you could doubt everything. I devoured Kepler and Galileo in secret, filling notebooks with questions. Why do things fall? What is light? What is time? Every question tore down walls of ignorance and showed me how little we knew and how much there was to discover. I became obsessed with light. I stared at the sun for minutes, nearly blinding myself. Then I pushed a bodkin, a needle, behind my own eyeball to study color patterns. Yes, I did that, because understanding mattered more than comfort, more than sanity. They thought me mad. Maybe they were right. In 1665, the plague struck. Cambridge closed. I fled again, this time back to Woolsthorpe. I thought I was running from death. I was running toward immortality. The solitude that killed thousands gave me the silence to rebuild the universe from scratch. In isolation, I needed better tools, so I created them. I invented calculus, the method of fluxions. I wasn't trying to change the world. I was just solving the problems that haunted me, whispering through the night like demons or angels. Then came light, Everyone believed white light was pure. But when I split it with a prism, I saw a rainbow. The colors weren't created by the prism. They were hidden inside the light itself. When I recombined them into white, I knew. I had seen something no one in history ever had. And then, one autumn day, an apple fell. Not on my head, that's myth. But it fell straight down. And I asked, why down? Why not sideways? Could the same force pulling this apple also pull the moon? And if so, why doesn't the moon fall? The moon is falling too, constantly, but it's moving fast enough to miss the Earth each time. That's orbit. What if gravity isn't just earthly, but universal? What if every object in the cosmos pulls every other? Every stone, star, and planet bound by one invisible thread. I filled notebooks with calculations until my hands cramped. The math was brutal, the nights endless. My mother thought I'd gone mad. She wasn't wrong, but I was breaking down the walls between heaven and earth. And it worked. Gravity was universal, one force, one law, one cosmos. I had done it. I'd found the law God used to build the universe. But I was terrified. If I published it, they'd call me a heretic. So I locked it away, hid it like a shameful secret. The greatest discovery in history, sealed inside a drawer. Years later, I shared my theory of light. They mocked me. Hooke called me arrogant and wrong. Their criticism crushed me. I nearly abandoned science for theology, where at least no one could prove you wrong. Then Edmund Halley came to me in 1684. He asked, if gravity follows an inverse square law, what curve do planets follow? I said, an ellipse. He was astonished. He begged me to publish my work. I refused, afraid, as always, of ridicule. But Halley wouldn't give up. He reminded me what I was. At 52, I finally faced my fear. For 18 months, I wrote relentlessly, barely slept, barely ate. I poured my life into it. The result? Philosophiae Naturalis Principia Mathematica, the Principia. 3 laws of motion, universal gravitation, the universe finally written in mathematics. It changed everything. It built the foundation for modern physics, for spaceflight, for every technology that followed. But it cost me dearly. I became bitter, paranoid, obsessed with credit. The abandoned child still haunted me, desperate for validation.
I became Sir Isaac Newton, President of the Royal Society, Master of the Mint. I hunted counterfeiters, chased perfection, but never found peace. I never married, had few friends. I spent my final years searching alchemy and prophecy for the answers science couldn't give. Looking back, I see both triumph and loss. I gave humanity the universe, but lost myself. I was the boy still waiting by the window, just older, more famous, more alone. Maybe that's the price of genius. Or maybe it's just my excuse. I still think of that apple. The apple didn't change. I did. The secret was never intelligence. It was the courage to ask why, when everyone else accepted because. That's all discovery ever is, the courage to look again. We stand on the shoulders of giants, Galileo, Kepler, Descartes. They lifted me, others will surpass me. Knowledge grows, generation by generation. That's how it should be. I'm old now. Death is near. I tried to understand the mind of God through mathematics. Maybe I succeeded, maybe I failed. But the work remains, the Principia remains, the laws endure, the truth endures. The apple and the moon obey the same law, and that is enough. I do not know what I may appear to the world, but to myself I seem like a boy playing on the seashore, finding smoother pebbles and prettier shells, while the great ocean of truth lay undiscovered before me. Even now I remain that boy, standing at the edge of infinity, holding a few beautiful truths in my hands, and somehow that brings me peace. If Newton's journey touched you, don't just watch, be part of it. Subscribe for more untold stories of the minds that changed our world.